and welcome to this week's edition of Feedback Learnex. What happens in your brain when you fall in love? Being in love is unique, and how our brain reacts to the stimulus is also unique. Hence where it comes from that we feel butterflies in our stomach. Today we're going to discover where those butterflies come from. How does love affect the brain? Numerous studies of the brain based on the use of functional magnetic resonance imaging have shown that we fall in love thanks to 29 different brain areas, which depend on up to 10 neurochemical substances. Did you know that? How does love enter the brain? In the brain, we have about 100 billion neurons, taking into account that the number of neurons in the heart is about 40,000. Surely, the heart is the best place to promote a crush, right? Like almost everything, love also enters us through our eyes. When we see a person we're attracted to, our eyes send that visual information to the occipital cortex, the part of the brain that tells you what you're seeing, like a face. From there, the information passes to the fusiform gyrus, which is the structure that determines whether you like what you are seeing or not. This whole process takes a few seconds. If you really like what you are seeing, then we can talk about love at first sight. How does love affect the brain? From here on, everything gets complicated, and the brain becomes a sea of neurotransmitters, neuromodulators, neuropeptides, and hormones. And the undisputed star of all that activity is a neurotransmitter called dopamine. When the fusiform gyrus has determined that you like what you have seen, it sends that information to the ventral tegmental area, which begins to release dopamine to different parts of the brain. That dopamine goes to the nucleus accumbens, related to pleasure and addictions, which gives us a shot of happiness. That's why love is like a drug. Part of the dopamine released reaches the prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision making, and turns it off, so that we stop seeing the flaws in that person and only see the good. Love is blind, literally. When dopamine reaches the hippocampus, related to memory, it generates very intense memories of the moments lived, which is why almost all of us remember our first kiss. When dopamine reaches the amygdala, closely related to emotions, it creates a sense of tranquility. Brain-heart relationship in love. But other changes also occur in the sympathetic nervous system. The heart speeds up, the intestinal tract changes, butterflies in the stomach, the pupils dilate, and sweating increases. Many of these dopamine-rich regions form the brain's reward system. That is, love provides a pleasure similar to what we experience when we eat what we want or buy something that we really like. Interestingly enough, those same brain areas are the ones that are activated during drug use and are closely related to addiction. Some scientific studies claim that romantic love is a type of addiction. Thanks to studies based on the use of functional magnetic resonance imaging, which allow photographing the brain in love. Based on the fluctuations in blood flow, oxygenation, and glucose consumption, among others, that occur in the brain after viewing the images, the brain regions involved in falling in love can be represented by colors. The process of falling in love is a very intense neurochemical process. That is why it does not last forever. It is estimated that between 3 and 4 years. After this time, the brain desensitizes and the production of dopamine declines. Neuroscience has given an explanation to many of the neurological processes that occur during falling in love. However, many others are still a secret of nature and Cupid. That's it for this week's edition of Feedback Learnex. Stay tuned next week, Thursday night at 9:15 p.m.